Hi, welcome to Broke Teachers Travel. I'm Marnie,
And I'm Jeff.
and we're two broke teachers who love to travel. We've been traveling for years on a budget. How long would you say?
Oh, I don't know, 30 years?
Yeah, somewhere around that. We've traveled with a family of four. We've traveled just the two of us. We've traveled lots of ways. We've traveled abroad. We've traveled domestically. Just about any way you can travel, we've tried it. We are former Disney cast members as well. We worked at Disney for how long?
Five summers.
Yeah, we were seasonal cast members, which is the best job for teachers in the summer. It's so much fun. I think that was some of the best years we had.
Oh, absolutely. Disney then, they did things right, and they let us work with our schedules, and so we could have the kids. One of us could watch the kids, the other one would work, and then vice versa. Just a really good time.
It was. It was so much fun. We could always meet up in the parks in the afternoons after everybody gotten done with their shift. We would grab the kids. We would meet the other person at the park, and we would play in the parks for a while and just enjoy it. It was so much fun. How many days did we spend?
One year we spent over 100 days in one of the four parks, so I mean that's a pretty good deal. So.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Um, while we do travel, the two of us seem to travel with different perspectives of travel, I think.
I'm a history teacher, and I love to see everything historical, and I try to maximize, at least the first time through, maximize so I get the most bang for my buck. So I generally travel with, first time through, with an itinerary and try to hit the things that I want to see most.
Yeah, I'm more of a let's just stroll and see what we find kind of traveler. I'm not as much about flying overseas. I love road trips and traveling domestically. It's fun to me. Um, I really enjoy just taking everything in. I'm more about the journey and not the destination. I mean, the destination is fun, but the getting there is the most fun part of the trip to me.
And one of the things over the last 30 years of traveling with my wife is just that she has talked me into relaxing and just enjoy it, and try not to just hit the checklist. And so generally, my first time through, I still do things the way I've always done. The second time through, I try to take more of a Marnie approach and just see what I see.
Yeah, I know the last couple of times you went to Paris, it was more relaxed, and you called me and said, "Hey, you won't believe what I found just strolling around."
And I found that some of the best finds are just things that's really not in the tour books, or they may be way back in the back of the tour book, but you just walk by and you're like, oh, that's really cool. I didn't know that.
And just the atmosphere. I mean, you stumbled upon the people dancing and the music being played on the street and said it was one of the most enjoyable, aspects of your trip, that it was just really, really cool.
Absolutely. Just to find those things and to find different cultures, and just realize that not everybody does things the way that we do it, and just because they do it different doesn't mean they're wrong or that we're right. But one of the things that I've really done in the last probably 5 or 6 years is just take everything with an open mind, take a deep breath, and try not to get frustrated. And that's one of the things that I think we're going to talk about a lot on this podcast, is just taking a deep breath. One of the worst things can happen. You see all the time tourists. When we worked at Disney, we saw it probably 30 or 40 times a day. That my daughter actually came up with a hierarchy of who's going to get yelled at. Is it the father yelling at the wife yelling at the father, the kids getting yelled at, the kids getting spanked? I mean, there was always a hierarchy there. And what we want to do is just to try to help you guys just chill out and enjoy it, and try to avoid some of the stress and anxiety that a lot of us have.
Travel's all about bringing you peace and joy and learning to love life and enjoy what it brings, because it's about just the experience and slowing life down and seeing what the world is all about and the different cultures and different perspectives. I mean, that's how I view travel. I think it's relaxing. I don't think it's a go, go, go mindset. I think it's something you should just chill out and see what comes your way. See what, the best part of the trip is to you, what it brings to you personally, I think is a big deal.
And a lot of times I found that it's, the journey, not the destination, that brings so much joy. And again, we're teachers, so we've been afforded a little more time than some people with, vacation and things like that. But, the corollary is because we're teachers, we are broke broke teachers. And so, we'll go through some travel hacks. We'll go through some different sort of things to try to basically benefit you guys. Again, one of the biggest goals, get the most bang for your buck, and to eliminate, like I mentioned earlier, that anxiety and that stress that comes with, travel sometimes.
I mean, you've especially helped a lot of our friends travel and learn how to do it on a budget, because most of our friends are teachers, so they too live on a very tight budget. And we've, kind of guided them and given them some tips and things that kind of help them learn how to do this, and that it is possible. I mean, you don't have to have a huge income to be able to travel.
And that's one of the things right now, flights, relatively speaking, you think about people are like, well, man, how do you travel all the time? You go to all these places. Well, I don't drink Starbucks. So, I save $4 or $5 a day, and just, I recently booked a trip to Egypt, and, it's probably the most expensive one that I've ever purchased, but I'm going to hit everything in Egypt that I really, really want to see the first time through. And the second time, third time I go through, I will, have some confidence in traveling around and seeing what's best in that country too.
But you say it's the most expensive, but it's still not expensive. It's not an expensive trip for what you're getting.
Right. I mean, it's 10 days, my flight from here to Cairo. It's a 4-day on the Nile River cruise. All my meals are included. And, the new museum in Cairo I'm going to see, the Valley of the Kings, King Tut's tomb, the Colossus, of Ramses. There's just so much cool stuff. And again, when you start breaking it down, it's about the experience. It's about what you're seeing for me, and again, me being a history teacher, some of my little segments may focus a little more on that, and Marnie's going to focus on just about everything else.
Yeah, I love the atmosphere, the culture. That's kind of my thing. That's where I land. I love to learn about what the people are like. I love to learn what they eat. I love to learn about the artwork. Art is my thing. I love to see it everywhere we go. It's amazing to me. It ties the world together.
And we could look at different things from, different tour companies that we've used. Sometimes I've gotten local guides and they've been really, really great. Sometimes I've really lucked up on great tour guides. And then sometimes...
I was about to say, don't get us wrong. We've had some bad ones too.
But, it was about the experience and, and just plugging through that. And again, those people, that's how they make their living. And, so there's a lot of different things culturally between us and the Europeans, the Asians, Asian countries, things like that. But, when I look at it all together, we all laugh, about stuff we think's funny. We, are sad about things, I just enjoy things that just kind of opens my mind to the way people view things. And I've got a lot of interesting stories about that I'll be sharing over the day.
I really go back to our time at Disney with that a lot. We spent a lot of time with cast members from other parts of the world, and we learned a lot, and we got to know these people, and it honestly, I think it fueled our desire to travel even more.
Absolutely, and the one thing that a lot of great things that Disney does is one is their customer relations, and just how immediately we try to build those bridges by just smiling. I mean, just smiling, just say how are you, and then in some cultures, if you ask, how are you, then expect for them to take 10 minutes and explain how it is. It's not a rhetorical question.
But that's okay. That's what it's about.
And that's the thing. I just, I've enjoyed, so much of every aspect of my life, traveling, working with Disney, and most importantly, and my daughter and son and everybody will agree with this, doing it on a budget. Because again, that is one of the big focuses is how can we, maximize our money.
And like we said before, we are teachers. Our budget is not big at all. Jeff works a lot of extra things. He does things to earn supplements. That helps pay for travel. And we're not extravagant in our lives. Like he said, we don't get Starbucks every day. We don't go out to eat every day, but we focus on travel. That's kind of what we love.
And again, it's a wonderful experience. Hopefully, you guys out there will enjoy that and maybe benefit a little bit from this. And one of the big things that Marnie and I were talking about earlier today is we don't want this just to be us telling you this, this, and this. We want it to be interactive. And so, Marnie, can you talk a little more about that?
Yeah, if you are a teacher or anyone traveling on a budget, drop us a line. Say hi. We would love to hear from you guys. If you have tips, let us hear them. We're always up for new tips and tricks as far as travel goes. Share them with us. We want to hear from you. We want to interact with you guys.
Absolutely. Again, it's amazing how many times that I've come home to Marnie or Marnie's come home and said, "Hey, did you know?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't know that." And in the time we worked at Disney, there's so many times that, "Did you know you could do this? Did you know?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't know that." And neither one of us knew that. And same thing with traveling. "Hey, did you know you could do this, or that this is the better route? Maybe this is the quickest, but this is the most scenic." And so you may save 20 minutes on the watch, but then you're going to miss out on seeing some really cool things. I was really happy just in the last couple of years. My son, who he's been to Europe with us before, and he really was a beneficiary, he and my daughter, of us working at Disney and all those summers. But and always worried about him, and then he came home one day and said, "Oh, I'm going to take a road trip." And I'm like, "Where are you going to go?" And he says, "To California." And I'm like, "Oh." So he took a road trip, he and his wife. Cross country. The first big road trip was to California, and they, stopped at all these cool places. They went to Roswell. They went to Las Vegas, the Grand Canyons, Disneyland, and, that was just really cool. So those stories are really neat, and maybe we could get him in here one day to talk about traveling with video game backgrounds, because he actually,
and art.
He went to one of these cool places and from one of the video games, and I was sharing some pictures with one of my students one day, and they're like, "Oh, that's from so and so," and I'm like, "Yeah," and they're like, "What do you know about that?" And I'm like, "Nothing really," but my son knows a lot about it.
He can tell you a lot.
But and I think that's one thing that so many times when we travel as adults, we have that adult mindset. We want to do this, we want to do that, but let's make it fun for the kids too, and that's a big thing.
Exactly, because they carry on these things throughout the rest of their lives. I mean, that's like our daughter. We knew that she was gaining travel experience and things like that when she would road trip with us or when we were at Disney, but she took some of our family members to Disney and showed them the parks from a whole new perspective that they said they had never done it this way before, and it changed the way they're doing things now.
And my daughter said it best one time. We were on a road trip, and we'd been to New York City, and she had got some custom Converse made with her name, the New York skyline, and all this. And then 3 days later, there was a Civil War battlefield that I have to go see, and it had been raining. And she said, "Well, hey, I'm going to come with you." And I'm like, "Well, you just got those new shoes. Aren't you worried you're going to mess them up or something?" And she said, "Dad, it's about the memories in these shoes, not the shoes themselves." And I said, "Man, that was pretty deep." And
same thing in Paris when we went. Yeah, it was about the memories and the miles they had made.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep. Well, guys, I think we're going to wrap it up for our intro, and hope you follow along next episode. We're going to talk about picking a destination and how to budget for it and give you some tips and tricks.
And thank you guys for joining us.
Absolutely. Drop us a line, say hi, subscribe to our channel, and see you next time.